In this video, we shall learn how to create a Razor component as a modal dialog to accept user inputs for adding new movie. So let's flip over to Visual Studio. Now I will create a movie detail component in the components folder. So right click, add, new item, make this new item as a Razor component. So it's movie detail. Movie detail.razor. So I'll get rid of this and I will just add a few stuff on top. Add using Blazor movie app.data. I have to include a few of these folders, data, services and models, in order to create this modal dialog, which is a child component. So we have already learned about the components and child component that can be placed as a HTML tag within a parent component. Okay, so act using Blazor movie app.services and then act using Blazor movie app dot models. Okay, and then I'll have to inject a instance of the interface iMovieDB service. Just name is service. So add inject of type iMovieDB service and call this service. Okay, so inject means we have already learned that the inject means you are creating an instance of that interface or class. Okay, and above the code we'll have to write we'll create the model. And in order to create the modal dialog, now before we create the modal dialog, let's see how it looks like, what it does. Okay, so the finished modal pop-up dialog will look like this. With the main form in the background, it is just a pop-up on the same tab with all these fields marked, and if you click on this submit button, it should submit after doing the validation check to the database, and it will close the pop-up model, and so will this cross icon on right hand, top right hand. Okay, so to write a modal dialog, we'll start with the div, and the class will be modal. It's a bootstrap class, and I'll give it a tab index of -1, just to disallow accidental tabbing to this modal, and name this an ID property. I'll name this moving modal and then close the tag. This is the top level. Okay, and below the div class modal will be another class modal dialog. So div class modal dialog, and just indent it a bit for readability. And within the modal dialog will be another div whose class will be modal content. So modal content, and within the modal content I will have modal header and modal body. In this case. Okay, I don't need any modal footer. So modal content, below modal content I'll have another div whose class will be modal header, and then there's another child to modal content that will be modal body. So this will be modal body. Right, just indent it a little bit, and within the modal header I'll have an h5 tag. Let's give a h5 tag, h5 header, and class will be modal title, where the title will go modal title, and within the header h5 and end h5 I'll write the title as movie detail. That is the modal title in this case. Okay, and then there goes a button below this header. Button, I'll come back to what this button is for in a bit. Button type button. Class, it will have a class of close. This is the close button. As we showed on the top right, there is a cross mark. So, and there is a data dismiss attribute. Data dismiss equals modal. Data dismiss modal, and close this tag and write and times, which is cross, you can see, and times semicolon. Okay, and end div. Just bring it a little bit up, and within this modal body then I'll have an edit form component. I will call edit form. Okay, so this edit form will have a model which is at movie object. Now I'll have to code for let me complete the C# side first. Okay, at code. So at code block will have first thing as a parameter. So I have talked about parameter earlier. Parameter, while we are talking about data binding and how a child component is rendered within a parent. So prop tab. So this will be a type, will be the movie. It will return movie object, and I'll call this movie object. All right, and then there will be a method that needs to be called private. This will not do anything other than just decoration, but I will just code it in the next lecture. Handle valid submit. Now this method will be in action when you are able to submit after validating, client side validation, which will come next. Okay, edit form. So edit form model will be at movie object. It will be bound to at movie object, at movie object, and on valid submit. This is on valid submit. So a callback that will be invoked when the form is submitted. Okay, so on valid submit you will call at handle submit, or just the handle valid submit. So handle valid submit and edit form. All right, now let me build this form. little Control Shift B, and the build succeeded. Now I'll have to build that form. So for that I'll have a div whose class is form group, and then I will put all the elements one by one. So first of all we have the ID. So first tag is label for equals, I'll name this label for this movie title, title, and call this as title, which is the movie title, and then that label is for an input. Now I'll have to make an input type hidden, and within this hidden type input, it will actually be tied to the object, the ID of the movie object, okay, ID of the movie class, which is the type movie. So bind value equals @movie object dot, you can see the IntelliSense ID, okay. And let's close this stack. And then there's input text, there's also a component, built-in component ID. I'll give this ID as title, and class is form control, class, and it has got a bind value. Bind value is, it is bound to movie object dot title, okay, at movie object dot title. Right, close this input text stack. Okay, now end div, I'm happy to close this as a single self-closing tag and get rid of this. And then, to save a lot of time for the sake of brevity, I'll just copy it over and just paste it. And all of these, and then I will make necessary changes to show all the properties of the movie class in a tabular form. Okay, so first one was ID, and then this one is this was actually the title, and this is release date. So I will call this movie release date, label for release date, and this is release date. Release date, I'll have to get rid of this. This is not required anymore. Hidden type, and this will be release date. This is input date. you can see here input date on the IntelliSense. ID is the release date. And bind value, you can understand movie object dot release date. I don't require this class here. Release date. Okay, so I have made just 2 of these, and I will just copy it over from my clipboard for saving a lot of time on typing. Now I have all the fields in place. So you've got the genre, director, and the running time. So these 2 were text, input text, and this was the input number, okay, which is bound to the running time. Now what is left of this modal is there are 2 buttons that we have shown, the submit and the cancel button. So let us write them down. So button type submit class equals button primary. So btn, you can see primary, and that's it. Close tab, and within open and close within the tab and end tab, you'll write the name of the button, that is the submit, the value of the button, you know what is written on the button. Now this copy this button, okay, and change this type as just button, and class being btn secondary, and make this cancel. And another thing, before completing this, you need to make a data dismiss attribute as modal, data dismiss as modal. All right, that's all. So that's all complete. Right, now all I have to do is come to the movies class, movies component, and place it here. So a little bit of change is required over here. So within the code block, this private list of movie, that will stay, and protected override async task on initialized async. When the first time it is initialized, the component, it will call the get movies, which we have seen in action. Okay. Next, I have to initialize the movie object, so of type movie, and I'll call this movie object, and initialize it here, new movie, create an instance of movie type, that's movie object, and then I'll write another method, that is a private method that returns void null. So private void, and name this load movie modal with current date. All right, and within this method, I will just initialize the movie object, reinitialize the movie object for the release date field with the current date and time. Date time dot now. All right. So the last couple of things rather that are required is to hook up an on-click event handler. So @onClick is assigned a lambda expression, and that calls this load movie modal with current date. So I'll call this here. So lambda expression, lambda operator, So I will call this load. You can see here on the IntelliSense, load movie modal with current date. All right. And there will be a pair of empty circular braces after this. And lastly, I'll have to call this movie detail child component over here below this div. So just let me give one space and I'll call this movie detail. Yeah, I can see on the IntelliSense, and then it has got movie object. Movie object is assigned this movie object. Okay, so this movie object, first let me close this so everything will be fine. Movie object and movie detail. Right, end of movie detail, end movie detail tag, and that's about it. If we now build the application and run it, it will show the add movie dialog modal, and you'll be able to put your user inputs, okay, on the new modal. Now the browser has rendered. If I click on add movie, it comes up with this pop-up dialog, movie detail, and it has got a submit. If I click, nothing has happened because it is not doing any client validation, which we'll do in the next lecture, and it is not submitting. So if you close this, it will cancel, and if you again open this and close it from here, it will close from the right top icon, cross icon. So in this lecture, we have actually created a modal pop-up dialog and see how it's working. Okay.